Chosen one. Stop for a moment and listen. Heaven has pressed pause on everything around you so that this message could reach your heart. This is not coincidence. This is not the algorithm. This is divine alignment. Right now, you are standing on holy ground in your spirit. You may not feel it in your body. You may not see it with your eyes. But deep within your soul, you know that God Himself has been waiting for this moment to speak. You are not like the rest. You never were. That is why you could never quite fit in. Why the places you once tried to belong to spit you out. Why the very rooms you longed to be invited into shut their doors. You thought it was rejection, but it was protection. You thought it was delay, but it was divine design. Picture a seed lying under the soil. The world looks down and sees nothing but dirt. Yet beneath the surface, a quiet transformation is taking place. Pressure, darkness, and waiting create the roots that will one day carry fruit. That seed is you. You have been buried, but not forgotten. You have been pressed down, but not destroyed. I recall the story of someone who walked through a long waiting season, praying for answers that never seemed to arrive. Friends moved forward. Opportunities passed by, and silence grew louder. Yet, when God finally opened the door, it was bigger than anything they imagined. That waiting time was not wasted. It was training ground for what was to come. This same truth is now resting on your life. Chosen one. Hear this clearly. Every sleepless night, every tear no one saw, every betrayal that cut deeper than a knife, all of it was recorded in heaven. None of it was wasted. The world saw pain, but God saw preparation. The world thought it broke you, but heaven knew it was shaping you into unshakable stone. You are standing at the threshold of a greater awakening. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 27, verse 14. Wait for the Lord, be strong, and take heart, and wait for the Lord. This is not just instruction, it is prophecy for you. Your waiting season was not empty, it was an incubation for glory. Strength is rising in you. Patience has forged resilience. And the God who kept you in the shadows is about to bring you into the light. And now, you are being called to rise. You may feel weak, but strength is coming. You may feel lost, but direction is here. You may feel small, but heaven is whispering, I chose you before the foundation of the world. When you hear this, something inside you knows it's true. Because deep down, you always felt different. This is your awakening moment. Heaven has waited for it. The earth is groaning for it. Even the enemy has feared it. You are stepping out of the shadows, no longer hidden, no longer silent, no longer doubting who you are. So, here is where you respond. If this word stirs your spirit, if something inside you says, this is for me, then don't let this pass by. Show that you receive this word. Tap the like. Share it, so another chosen one can find it. And in the comments, leave a prophetic sign. Type the number 444 as your declaration. I am awake. I am chosen. I walk in my calling. This is more than a number. It is a banner lifted in the unseen realm. It is a mark that heaven recognizes, that the enemy fears, and that your future will remember. Chosen one. God has waited for this exact moment to tell you. Your awakening begins now, and hear me clearly. Your story is only beginning. What looked like an ending was only the turning of a page. God was not late. He was strategic. He was waiting for the exact alignment of time, season, and your heart. You are stepping into a chapter where the very things that once broke you will become the testimony that builds others. The rejection you faced will turn into a message of resilience. The loneliness you carried will transform into compassion for those still wandering. Nothing is wasted. Think of a lantern lit in the middle of the night. The darker the surroundings, the brighter the flame becomes. That is what your life represents now. You shine, not because of the absence of darkness, but because God has chosen to set His fire within you. So take courage, lift your head, walk forward with boldness. This awakening is not fragile, it is unstoppable. Your time is now. You have been marked by fire. That fire did not come through comfort, but through trial. The seasons that others would not have survived, you endured. The wounds you carry are not just scars, they are holy inscriptions, etched by the hand of God to prove that you belong to Him. Every rejection was a strike of fire. Every betrayal was a spark. Every tear shed in silence was fuel for the flame that would one day reveal your calling. You may have thought those moments were designed to destroy you, but in truth, they were meant to forge you into someone unbreakable. Fire does not consume gold, it purifies it. And that is exactly what God has been doing in your life. Think about the blacksmith in the forge. He does not place iron into gentle warmth. He thrusts it into unbearable heat, striking it over and over with a hammer, until what was once fragile and unformed becomes strong and purposeful. That same process has been shaping you. Life's hammer has fallen again and again. But only so, the divine craftsman could mold you into the vessel He designed from the very beginning. I remember the testimony of a man who grew up feeling overlooked, time and time again. Doors shut in his face. He was betrayed by people he trusted, abandoned by those who promised loyalty, and left with nothing but his faith. For years, he thought God had forgotten him. But one day, when opportunity finally came, it was clear. All the pain had given him wisdom, patience, and humility that success alone could never teach. His fire season had branded him with strength, and now he carries authority when he speaks, because his words were baptized in fire. Chosen one, your story is no different. The things you endured were not accidents. You were marked, set apart by the flame of adversity so that no one could ever doubt where your strength comes from. Others carry crowns handed down by men, but yours is a crown forged in fire. The ancient words recorded in the first letter of Peter, chapter 1, verse 7, echo with truth for you. These trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold, though your faith is far more precious than mere gold. Do you see? What others called bad luck, unfairness, or failure was heaven's way of proving your faith genuine. You were not being punished, you were being purified. Fire has a way of removing what does not belong. It strips away illusions, pride, and false security. You lost people, jobs, friendships, and opportunities not because you were unworthy, but because they could not survive the fire you were called to walk through. If they left, it was because they were never meant to go where you are headed. Like a tree struck by lightning, you may have felt split open, scarred, even burned. Yet, If you look closely, those same scars become rings of strength, proof that you weathered what others could not. Nature itself testifies that storms and fire do not kill the chosen, they mark them. You have been branded by experiences that others cannot understand. That is why some people look at you and feel uneasy. They sense there is something about you that cannot be explained. You carry the fire in your eyes, in your presence, in your voice, and darkness fears it. Do not despise the fire. What once felt unbearable will become the very evidence that God's hand has been on you all along. Just as Moses' face shone after encountering the presence of God on the mountain, so too will your life shine because of what you endured in His refining process. You are marked, not for destruction, but for destiny. You are not like those who bow to the pressures of the world. You are the one who survives the flame, rises from the ashes, and steps forward carrying a fire that cannot be extinguished. The season of burning was never random. It was purposeful. And when people see you now, they will not just see a survivor, they will see someone stamped with heaven's seal. Someone whose very life declares, "This one belongs to God." End quote. And now you understand, those fires were never meant to destroy you. They were the seal upon your life. Proof that you were chosen. When you walk into rooms, people may not know your story, but they feel the weight of it. They sense the depth, the endurance, the quiet authority. That is the fragrance of one who has been through fire and come out refined. You are not simply surviving. You are carrying fire that will light the path for others. The lonely road, few understand it. Yet every chosen one must walk it. You know this path too well. The silence, the isolation, the moments when it felt like even heaven was far away. It was never punishment. It was preparation. There is a reason why God separates those He chooses. Separation sharpens the soul. In the quiet, distractions fade, and your ears begin to hear whispers no one else can. In the hidden places, you were being trained to recognize His voice above the noise of the crowd. Think of the shepherd boy David, left in the fields while his brothers were honored in the house. Everyone overlooked him, but heaven's eyes never left him. While the world dismissed him as a boy, God was shaping him into a king. That season of solitude was not empty, it was divine training. You have felt misunderstood. People thought you were too intense, too sensitive, too different. But what they could not see is that God was carving a deep well inside of you. And wells are not dug in public, they are dug in hidden places, often in silence, often through loneliness. According to what is revealed in the book of Hosea, chapter 2, verse 14, "Therefore I am now going to allure her. I will lead her into the wilderness and speak tenderly to her." The wilderness is not abandonment, it is intimacy. It is the very place where God's voice grows louder, where your dependence on Him becomes unshakable. Let me tell you the story of a woman who longed for companionship and recognition, but for years found herself walking alone. No one seemed to notice her faithfulness, her sacrifices, or her dreams. Yet, in those hidden years, she discovered a closeness with God that nothing else could have given. When her time of unveiling came, she carried an authority and peace that people could not explain. That lonely road had been her altar. Chosen one. Your solitude is not wasted. Loneliness has been your classroom, and God Himself, your teacher. Every unanswered phone call, every silent night, Every empty chair at your table was building endurance inside you. The very things that made you feel forgotten are the same things that prepared you to carry a weight of glory others could never handle. Imagine a lighthouse on the cliff. It stands alone, battered by winds and waves. Yet its very position of isolation makes it the guide for countless ships in the night. That is you. Your lonely road was never about keeping you apart forever. It was about positioning you to shine when it matters most. You may not realize it yet, but your solitude has given you strength, vision, and discernment. You can now sense danger before it comes. You can feel truth from lies. You can stand strong even when no one else is standing. This did not come from crowds or applause. It came from walking the lonely road with God by your side. So here is how you respond. Write in the comments, "My wilderness speaks." Why? Because the wilderness you walked through was never silent. It spoke. It told the story of God's faithfulness when you had nothing else. It whispered truth when the world gave you lies. It declared that even in emptiness, His presence was alive in you. By typing those words, you are affirming that your wilderness was not wasted. It was a sacred dialogue between you and heaven. You are not defined by isolation. You are defined by the one who walked with you through it. And now, the season of silence is shifting. What was once loneliness will become leadership. What was once emptiness will become overflow. And you will discover that the lonely road was not a detour, it was the straight path to your destiny. And take this to heart, your wilderness was not a prison. It was a proving ground. The silence you endured became the soil where roots grew deep. What others thought was emptiness was actually God carving capacity inside of you. You are not the same person who first stepped onto that lonely road. You are wiser now. You are sharper now. You are clothed with a strength that can only come from walking with God when no one else was there. Think of gold pulled from the earth. Rough, unrefined, hidden under layers of dust. But once it passes through the fire, its value is undeniable. That is you. The lonely road refined your worth, revealed your brilliance, and prepared you for unveiling. So do not despise your wilderness. Celebrate it, because it was in the wilderness that your destiny began to take shape. You have been hidden in plain sight. Though you have walked among many, though you have lived like everyone else, something about you has always been different. And while others may have overlooked it, heaven has never failed to recognize it. There is a divine mystery in how God conceals His chosen. He allows them to appear ordinary so that no one suspects the extraordinary calling inside of them. Just as a jewel is buried deep in the earth, covered by soil and stone, so too have you been concealed beneath layers of what seemed like an ordinary life. Yet, heaven knew all along what was hidden within you. Consider Joseph. To his brothers, he was just a boy with dreams too big for his place in the family. They despised him, sold him, and thought they had rid themselves of him. But even in slavery and prison, Joseph was hidden. He looked like a servant, like a prisoner, like a man forgotten. Yet beneath that disguise, God was preparing a ruler who would one day save nations. Your story carries that same thread. You may look like one more face in the crowd, but there is a mark on your life that heaven cannot ignore. That mark has kept you even when you didn't understand why certain doors refused to open. It was not rejection, it was concealment. God was hiding you from people, places, and systems that would have crushed you if you were revealed too soon. the Spirit spoke through the prophet Isaiah. Chapter 49, verse 2. He made my mouth like a sharpened sword. In the shadow of his hand he hid me. He made me into a polished arrow and concealed me in his quiver. You were not overlooked, you were hidden in his quiver, sharpened in silence, reserved for the precise moment when heaven would release you. Imagine a candle placed under a clay jar. To the eye, there is nothing but a pot sitting still. Yet, inside, a flame is quietly burning. The day the jar is lifted, the flame lights the room. That is the picture of your life. People may have underestimated you, but that was only because they could not see what was burning within. I recall the journey of a man who worked in obscurity for years, while his peers advanced and were celebrated. He labored quietly in places no one valued. He questioned if his life mattered at all. But one day, when the right moment came, all the years of hidden work suddenly became the foundation for great influence. Those who once dismissed him stood in awe, unable to deny the wisdom and authority he carried. What was hidden was finally revealed. You see, the delay you experienced was not denial. It was a season of concealment. Had you been revealed too early, you might have been consumed by the wrong environments, praised by the wrong voices, or entangled with the wrong opportunities. God hid you because He valued you. He preserved you because you were too precious to be exposed before the appointed time. Think of an arrow kept in a quiver. While it rests, it may feel forgotten, but the archer knows the purpose of every arrow. He knows which one to draw when the battle reaches a critical moment. Likewise, heaven has reserved you. You were not created to be a decoration or to blend with the ordinary. You were crafted to fly at the exact moment when your impact would be unstoppable. Even your mistakes and failures did not cancel this hiding. In fact, some of them added more layers of concealment, convincing both you and others that you had nothing special left to offer. But what the enemy tried to use as burial, God used as camouflage. The treasure remained intact, untouched by the opinions of men, waiting for the divine unveiling. So do not resent the years of being unseen. Those were the years God sharpened your discernment, deepened your resilience, and rooted your identity. While you thought you were being overlooked, you were actually being polished, and the polish of heaven never fades. Now comes the shift. The covering that once concealed you is being lifted. You will step into places where people will suddenly recognize what they never noticed before. They will wonder how they overlooked you for so long, and you will know the truth. You were hidden, but never forgotten. You are like a star, invisible in the bright light of day, but blazing when the night arrives. God has been waiting for the right atmosphere to reveal you, because when the darkness deepens, your light will be undeniable. The years of being hidden are not wasted years. They are sacred years. And when heaven reveals you, the world will see what God saw in you all along. Your identity is unshakable. Nothing, no betrayal, no curse. No season of loss can erase who you are in God's eyes. From the very beginning, before your first breath, you were stamped with His design. And that design is not fragile. It cannot be altered by opinions or destroyed by storms. When storms come, trees may bend, branches may break, but the roots remain. In the same way, you have faced winds that tried to snap you, but because your roots go down into God, you are still standing. People may have spoken against you. Circumstances may have shaken you. But your identity has not been lost. You are still chosen, still marked, still anointed. The Apostle reminds us in his letter to the Romans, chapter 8, verse 38, "For I am convinced that neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future, nor any powers, neither height nor depth, nor anything else in all creation, will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord." That is the core of who you are. You are loved beyond measure, and nothing has the power to undo it. Think of a coin buried in the dirt. It may be covered in mud, unseen, dismissed as worthless, but its value never changed. All it needs is to be lifted up, washed clean, and suddenly it shines again. That is you, no matter how hidden you have been, no matter how much mud life has thrown. Your worth has not been lost. There was a woman who once believed she was ruined beyond repair. Mistakes haunted her. Voices told her she was no longer useful. But when she discovered that God's identity in her had never been erased, everything shifted. She began to walk with confidence, not because of herself, but because of Him. Her past no longer held her. Her true identity did. That same unshakable truth is alive in you. Chosen one. The very battles you fought have only confirmed your identity. The enemy would not fight you so hard if you were not dangerous to darkness. Every struggle is evidence of your value. The fact that you are still here shows that your identity is stronger than the forces against you. Now, I want to pause and speak heart to heart. These messages are poured out like seeds. They take time, prayer, and the strength that only God gives. And just as a field cannot bear fruit without water, this work cannot continue without support. I ask you with sincerity, if these words have watered your soul, if they brought light into your night or strength into your weary spirit, then consider helping us pour this same water into others, not out of pressure, not because you must, but as a free offering of love. Think of it this way: a candle alone lights one room, but when another hand places oil in the lamp, the flame burns longer, brighter, reaching more darkness. When you choose to give even a little, you are adding oil to the lamp. You are saying, "Let this light shine further. Let more chosen ones find their way." Whether you choose to support by liking, sharing, subscribing, or by donating, every act is voluntary. Every act is precious. No one is obligated. No one is forced. But each choice becomes a ripple that touches someone you may never meet. If all you can do today is tap like, know that it matters. If you share this message, you are helping another hidden one discover their identity. If you subscribe, you are saying, "I will walk this journey with the family of chosen ones." And if you feel led to donate, I know that your gift is not just money. It is seed planted into soil that is bearing fruit for eternity. You are free. This is never a demand. This is simply an invitation to participate in something greater, just as rain falls freely, giving life to both the seed and the sower. So too your support, whatever form it takes, is life-giving. And remember, even if you do nothing but listen and receive, you are still valued. Your identity remains unshakable. Your worth is untouched. But if you feel the stirring to act, Let it be from joy, not obligation, like a river flowing. Generosity is not forced. It moves naturally, bringing refreshment wherever it touches. And when you choose to add your drop to the river, together we carry life further, faster, deeper. So, walk in your unshakable identity today. Stand tall, knowing that nothing can remove what God has written over your life. You are chosen. You are marked. You are unshakable. And whether through your voice, your sharing, your presence, or your gift, you are part of spreading this flame across the earth. Prophetic numbers align. You have seen them appear before your eyes on clocks, receipts, signs, or moments so ordinary that they should have gone unnoticed. Yet something inside you stirred. You knew these were not coincidences. They were whispers from heaven, confirmations that your path is being guided step by step. God often speaks in patterns, just as the stars move in order across the sky, just as the seasons turn without fail. So too does he weave his messages through numbers, symbols, and divine timing. And for the chosen, these moments are never random. They are markers along the journey, reminding you that heaven is near and that you are not walking blind. Think about how Noah was given exact numbers when building the ark, how Moses received precise measurements for the tabernacle, how Jesus himself fasted 40 days in the wilderness before stepping fully into ministry. Numbers in Scripture are never filler. They are fingerprints of divine order. I recall the story of a young man who struggled with doubt. He prayed, but wondered if God truly heard him. Then, one night, walking in despair, he glanced at the clock. It read the same number sequence he had seen again and again during his prayers. In that moment, peace washed over him. It was as if heaven whispered, "Yes, I hear you. Yes, I am with you." From that night on, every time that sequence appeared, it became a reminder that God was nearer than his doubt. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 9, "In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps, even when you thought you were moving randomly." Every step was being numbered, measured, and aligned by the hand of God. Chosen one, you must realize, heaven has been leaving signs for you because your life is not ordinary. These numbers are like breadcrumbs, leading you deeper into destiny. They are confirmations that the delay was not wasted and the waiting was not in vain. When you see them, it is heaven saying, "Keep going. You are on the right path." All. Imagine walking through a dense forest at night. The path is unclear. Shadows surround you, and fear tries to creep in. Suddenly, small lanterns appear, one after another, guiding your way forward. That is what these prophetic numbers are. They are lanterns lighting your steps, reminding you that though you may not see the full picture, God is orchestrating every move. You have not stumbled here by chance. Even this moment is aligned. God waited until now to remind you that the signs you've seen were not random thoughts, not accidents, but confirmations. He wanted to assure you that you are not lost. You are being guided with precision. There are times when these numbers appear right as you were about to give up, and they reignited your faith. Other times, they came quietly, like a gentle nudge, reminding you that you are loved and remembered. Pay attention, because what the world calls coincidence, Heaven calls confirmation. So, here is what you must do now. Mark this moment. Just as you have seen prophetic numbers appear in your journey, let this be another. Go to the comments and write the number 717. This is not just digits on a screen. It is a prophetic declaration. I recognize heaven's alignment. I see the signs. I trust that God is guiding my steps. Oh, and here is why it matters. The number 717 symbolizes divine alignment, completion with new beginnings, and the perfection of God's timing. When you write it, you are acknowledging that your life is being ordered beyond what you can see. You are testifying that heaven's fingerprints are upon your journey. Think of waves rolling onto the shore, each one different, yet all in rhythm. Never late, never early. That is how heaven's numbers have been moving in your life. And when you declare 717, you are saying, I move in rhythm with heaven's tide. And Plu, chosen one. You are not wandering aimlessly. You are walking in divine rhythm. Heaven has written the timing. Heaven has ordered the steps. And heaven continues to confirm the path. Trust the signs. Embrace the alignment. And know that every number you see is another reminder. You are chosen. And your destiny is unfolding exactly as heaven designed. And do not be surprised when 717 starts appearing more often after today. It will not be your imagination. It will be heaven's reminder. A gentle tap on your shoulder, a sign saying, stay steady. You are on course. Let each appearance strengthen your faith. Let each number remind you, God is directing every step. You have been chosen to break generational chains. This is one of the heaviest assignments heaven can give, yet one of the most glorious. The struggles you faced were not random. They were ancient battles passed down through bloodlines, patterns of fear, cycles of poverty, habits of brokenness, addictions, silence, and shame. You may have wondered why your life felt heavier than others, why you seemed to wrestle with invisible weights. Now you know. You were born to end what defeated those before you. There is a line running through families. Some carry blessings. Others carry curses. Many live without ever realizing they are repeating the same mistakes, speaking the same words, and suffering the same wounds as those who came before them. But when God chooses someone to rise, He places a holy fire inside that refuses to bow to the old patterns. That fire is in you. Think of Gideon. He was born in a time when his people were oppressed. His family was the least in their tribe, and he saw himself as the weakest of all. Yet God called him a mighty warrior. Why? Because Gideon was chosen to shatter the cycles of fear and defeat that had haunted his people. His life became a breaking point between what was and what would be. So it is with you. Every tear you cried, every war you fought, every "why me" whispered in the dark, it was all part of the greater mission. You were sent to stop what tried to destroy your family. You were chosen to say, "It ends with me." End of. The Word of God speaks clearly in the book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 6, "But showing steadfast love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments." This verse is more than promise, it is prophecy. The blessing of obedience multiplies, but so too does disobedience echo down bloodlines. You stand at the hinge of history, the one who turns the door from curse to blessing. I remember hearing of a man who grew up surrounded by anger, His father's father had been abusive. His father, too, carried that same fire of rage. And though he vowed never to be like them, he felt it rising in him. But one night, broken in prayer, he asked God for freedom. That night, something shifted. Slowly, over time, his heart was softened. He became the first in his line to love without violence, to raise children in peace. Generational chains were cut, and a new legacy was born. This is what heaven is doing with you. The heaviness you feel is not weakness, it is the weight of destiny. You are not cursed, you are called. What your parents could not overcome, you will. What destroyed others will not destroy you. You are the warrior who carries the sword into battles your ancestors never won. Imagine an ancient wall, cracked but still standing, stone after stone laid by generations before, and then comes a hand, your hand lifting the hammer, striking until the wall finally falls. Dus trices. Silence follows, and a new path opens where once there was only bondage. That is your assignment, to bring down the walls others thought would stand forever. Do not despise the pressure you've carried. It was not sent to crush you, but to awaken the fighter within you. You were made to stand in the gap, to plant your feet, and declare that your family's story will not end in chains, but in freedom. Chosen one. Even your struggles with doubt, fear, or temptation have been part of this battle. The enemy targeted you because he knew your victory would rewrite history. If you gave up, the chains would remain. But every time you rose, even with trembling hands, heaven marked another crack in the wall. Your assignment is not just for you, it is for children you may not have yet, for generations you may never meet. Your yes to God becomes their inheritance. Your freedom becomes their starting point. While others inherit brokenness, your line will inherit blessing because you dared to fight. Think of a torch carried through darkness. For generations, no one lit it. They stumbled. They fell. But now you hold the flame. With it, you light the way not only for yourself, but for everyone who follows after. It will not always be easy. Breaking chains means facing what others avoided. But you are not alone in this. Heaven stands with you. Angels surround you. And the God who chose you will not abandon you. This is why your life has been different. This is why the road has been hard. Because you were chosen to do what others could not. And when you win, the sound of chains falling will echo not just in your life, but in the lives of generations to come. You are the breaker. You are the new beginning. You are the chosen one who carries freedom in your very blood. The enemy's fear is the hidden explanation for so much of what you have endured. You may have asked yourself, why does opposition follow me? Why do I face battles that seem far greater than my strength? The answer is not that you are weak, but that you are dangerous. Darkness fears the light you carry. From the very beginning, the enemy saw the mark upon your life. He could not erase it. So he tried to intimidate you, distract you, and crush your spirit. Every setback, every betrayal, every attack was a reaction to your potential. He feared what would happen if you ever discovered the fullness of who you are in God. Think about how Pharaoh feared the rise of Israel in Egypt. They were slaves, yet their increase terrified him. Why? Because he sensed that within those people was a destiny he could not control. So he set taskmasters over them, hoping to wear them down. Yet the more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied. That same principle is alive in your story. The more pressure that came against you, the more resilience was born inside of you. The ancient words in the book of Nahum, chapter 1, verse 7. Bring comfort to your spirit. The Lord is good, a refuge in times of trouble. He cares for those who trust in him. This truth is your shield. The enemy's attacks were never proof of abandonment. They were proof of how much you matter. If you were not valuable, you would not be targeted. I recall the journey of a young woman who faced opposition at every turn. Jobs fell through. Friendships crumbled. Even her own health seemed to fail. She thought she was cursed. But later, when she stepped into her calling, she realized those years were battles designed to make her doubt her worth. The resistance was the enemy's way of keeping her from discovering her strength. Now she walks in boldness, and the same battles that once made her cry now testify to her authority. You may not see it yet, but your opposition has been a strange confirmation. Hell does not waste resources on those who pose no threat. The very fact that you have been attacked so fiercely reveals how significant your assignment truly is. Picture a roaring lion pacing the edge of a cage. His growl is loud, his presence intimidating, but his chains hold him back. That is how the enemy has tried to appear in your life: loud, frightening, convincing you that you are about to be devoured. Yet the truth is this: his roar is louder than his reach. The cage still binds him. He can circle, he can shout, but he cannot undo what God has placed inside you. Chosen one. The fear you feel is often not your own. It is the enemy's fear leaking into the atmosphere around you. He trembles at the thought of you waking up to your true identity. He shakes at the idea of you realizing that the Spirit of God within you is greater than anything against you. You are a torch in the night. You carry fire that darkness cannot extinguish. Every room you walk into shifts, because light cannot be ignored. That is why people sometimes resist you without reason. That is why certain doors closed without explanation. It was not always about you being wrong. It was about darkness trying to block your entrance. But here is the secret. Resistance is never the end of your story. Just as shadows cannot exist without light, the attacks you faced only proved that you carry something worth fighting against. And though the enemy tried to bury you under fear, God was using those very battles to train your hands for war. Imagine a warrior sharpening his sword against stone. Sparks fly. The sound is harsh, but every strike makes the blade stronger. Your opposition has been that stone, painful, relentless, but ultimately sharpening you into someone the enemy fears even more. Do not let intimidation deceive you. The fear you feel is not always yours. It is a reflection of the enemy's desperation. He knows his time is short. He knows his grip is weakening, and he knows that once you fully rise, his schemes against you and your family will crumble. So walk forward with courage. Lift your head. Recognize that your battle has never been a sign of weakness, but a testimony of strength. You are feared because you are chosen, and nothing in hell can undo that. The enemy trembles when you pray. He shakes when you worship. He flees when you declare truth. And every time you rise from the ashes, you remind him of the one thing: he cannot steal your destiny. You are not the fearful one. You are the one who is feared. The crown of endurance rests upon you, though you may not always see it. Every hardship you survived, every season you endured without quitting, has been weaving this crown strand by strand. Unlike crowns of gold or silver, this one cannot be handed down or purchased. It can only be forged through perseverance. Endurance is not glamorous. It is not applauded in the moment. It is the quiet choice to rise when no one cheers, to keep walking when the road stretches endlessly, to hold faith when the evidence seems gone. Yet heaven says every step, every tear, every breath you took in faith, and from those unseen sacrifices, your crown has been formed. The Word of God declares in the book of Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 36, you need to persevere so that when you have done the will of God, you will receive what He has promised. This is not an empty encouragement. It is a command and a reward. Bound together, persevere, and the promise will be yours. Think of a runner on a long, winding trail. Exhaustion whispers, stop, muscle hush. Vision blurs, but step by step, they continue. The crowd may not be there, but the finish line is waiting. That finish line is where the crown is placed, not on the swiftest, but on the one who did not give up. That is you. I recall the story of a man who faced betrayal after betrayal. Friends turned to enemies. Finances crumbled. Even his own body failed him. Yet through it all, he whispered one prayer, Lord, strengthen me to stand. Years later, those who had abandoned him were astonished to see the peace and authority he carried. He did not escape trials, but he endured them, and his endurance became the testimony that drew others to faith. Chosen one, you may feel weary. Perhaps you wonder how much longer you can hold on. But know this, endurance is not weakness, it is strength refined. To endure is to declare, I will not bow to despair. It is the quiet defiance that terrifies the enemy more than any loud shout. Picture a mountain battered by centuries of storms. Winds have howled. Rain has poured. Yet the mountain remains. That is endurance. Seasons change. Storm pass. But the mountain does not move. You have been that mountain. You may have scars, but you are still standing. Heaven crowns not the perfect, but the persevering. Your survival is itself a victory. Your refusal to quit is itself a triumph. And every time you endured, heaven whispered, well done. Keep going. End of. Now let this moment be a seal. If this message resonates deep within you, go to the comments and write, Faith holds me. It is more than a phrase. It is your testimony that when your strength gave out, it was faith that carried you. It is your declaration that endurance was never about your power alone, but about the grip of God's hand that never let you fall. Why it matters. Every time you look back at those words, you will remember the truth. You are not standing here because you never stumbled, but because faith held you when you stumbled. You are here because God's grip is stronger than the weight of trials. Your crown is not waiting in some distant eternity alone. Even now, the strength of endurance shines on your life. People see it when they wonder how you are still standing. They notice it when your peace makes no sense. They feel it when your words carry weight forged in fire. You are crowned not because life was easy, but because you endured when it wasn't. And the crown upon you is more radiant than gold. And understand this, a crown is not simply placed upon your head for beauty, it represents authority. Authority gained through endurance cannot be faked. It cannot be copied. It comes only to those who have walked through fire and still chosen faith. Your crown of endurance gives you a voice that carries weight. When you speak, others listen. Because your words are not theories, they are lived truth. You do not encourage from comfort, you encourage from scars. And scars preach louder than sermons. Think of a tree with deep roots. A storm may strip its leaves, even break some branches, but the roots allow it to flourish again. That resilience is why people will look at your life and say, if they survive that, then I can too. Your crown becomes not just your reward, but their hope. So wear it with humility. Wear it with boldness. And never forget the endurance that once felt unbearable has become your greatest testimony. You are being called to step into authority, not authority given by men, which can be taken away, but authority from heaven etched into your spirit, confirmed by trials, sealed by endurance. This authority is not loud pride, but qui est confidence. It is the kind that makes darkness tremble, because it is rooted not in titles or applause, but in divine identity. Authority means walking into rooms and carrying peace that shifts the atmosphere. It means speaking words that pierce confusion with clarity. It means standing firm even when storms rage, because your foundation is not sand but solid rock. According to the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 28, verse 18, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me, and because you belong to him, that authority flows through you. You are not an outsider trying to grasp power. You are an heir, entrusted with kingdom responsibility. But authority must be carried, not just claimed. And to carry it, you must step forward. You cannot shrink back into shadows when heaven has lit a fire within you. Think of a lamp hidden under a basket. The flame may still burn, but its light cannot be seen. Authority is meant to shine, not hide. I remember the story of a young teacher who doubted her influence. She thought her life was too ordinary to matter. Yet every word she spoke, every act of kindness, carried unseen weight. Years later, her students returned to her, saying how her encouragement had changed their lives. She realized then authority had always been on her, but it took faith to recognize it. Chosen one. Stepping into authority does not mean arrogance. It means responsibility. A shepherd leads sheep not with shouting, but with presence. Authority is walking ahead, so others find courage to follow. And this is the call on your life. You are not meant to blend in. You are meant to lead by example. Picture a key in the hands of one who knows the lock. To others, the door seems sealed, impossible. But with one turn, the way opens. That is what your authority is. You are the key in places where others are trapped. You open doors of freedom by carrying the truth you lived through. And now, let me pause here and speak to your heart. These words, this journey, this unfolding of destiny, it is poured out with intention, like a river that never runs dry. It flows. But rivers also need channels to move wider and further. When you like, you strengthen the echo, ensuring more chosen ones hear the message. When you share, you become the messenger, carrying light into someone else's night. When you subscribe, you are saying, I choose to keep walking with this family of chosen ones, step by step. No, and when you feel stirred to donate, it is not obligation, it is invitation. Think of a farmer sowing seed into fertile soil. He does not lose the seed. He trusts that in time, it multiplies into harvest. Your giving is like that seed. It does not vanish. It grows into testimonies, into transformed lives, into hope that someone else desperately needs. You may say, "But I don't have much." Remember the widow who gave 2 small coins. To men, it looked small. To heaven, it was priceless. Because it was given from the heart, every drop of water poured into this river makes it flow further. Every oil placed in the lamp makes it burn brighter. This is not pressure. It is beauty. You are free to give or not, free to act or simply receive. But when you do, it becomes an act of love, a mark of participation in something greater than yourself. And heaven, which sees in secret, knows how to multiply back what you release. Imagine a bridge stretching across a deep valley, alone. It cannot be built, but stone by stone, placed together, it becomes a path for many to cross. That is what happens when each one does their part, whether through a share, a subscription, or a donation. Together, we build a bridge for countless others to walk from despair into destiny. Your authority does not begin tomorrow. It is already alive in you. Every moment you refuse to shrink back. Every time you stand tall in who God made you, you are exercising it. And by supporting, by walking together, by shining your light, you are multiplying that authority outward. Even the smallest drop helps the river flow further. Even the smallest spark adds to the fire. Whether you choose to like, share, subscribe, or donate, remember, it is never forced. It is simply a gift of love, flowing freely from your heart. Step into it, live it, and let your authority shine like the lamp on the hill, undeniable, radiant, and unstoppable. The great shift is upon you. Perhaps you have felt it in whispers, in the strange stirring of your spirit, in the way old things no longer satisfy and familiar places no longer fit. This is not imagination. It is heaven's announcement that one season is closing and another is opening. Shifts rarely come with loud fanfare. They begin subtly, like the first chill in the air, signaling the end of summer, or the first light of dawn, breaking the long night. At first, you may not even realize what is happening, but slowly, the signs gather, and you understand nothing will remain the same. Chosen one, you are living in a divine transition. Doors that once opened easily now remain shut, not because you failed, but because you have outgrown them. Paths that once felt right now feel narrow, because your destiny requires new ground. What was comfortable yesterday has become too small today. This is the evidence of the shift. Think of Israel standing before the Jordan River. Behind them lay the wilderness, years of wandering, lessons of survival. Before them stretched the promised land, a place flowing with abundance, yet guarded by giants. Crossing over was not easy, but it was necessary. They could not remain where they were, for the shift demanded forward motion. The Word of God reminds us in the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." These words were spoken in a moment of transition. Strength was not optional. Courage was not luxury. It was the requirement of the shift. I recall a young woman who felt everything crumble around her. Her job ended. Her relationships shifted. Even her daily routines no longer worked. At first, she panicked, thinking she had lost her way. But over time, she realized God was pulling her out of the old and setting her feet on new paths. Every ending made room for a beginning. Every closure was preparation for her unfolding. The shift was uncomfortable, but it was sacred. Perhaps you, too, have felt this unease. The things that once brought joy now feel empty. The people who once understood you no longer speak the same language. The habits you once embraced now feel heavy. That tension is not failure, it is transition. You are being moved into alignment with a season greater than what you imagined. Picture a bird in its nest. For a season, the nest was protection, warmth, safety. But there comes a day when the same nest becomes confining. The bird must stretch its wings, face the wind, and leave what once felt secure. The nest was good, but it was never the final destination. So too with you, the comfort of old seasons cannot contain the flight of your destiny. Shifts always carry both ending and beginning. Endings may sting. You may grieve the loss of what you once held. But remember, just as leaves must fall for trees to rest, just as winter must come before spring blooms, endings make space for greater life. Your grief is real, but so too is the promise waiting ahead. Chosen one. The shift means you can no longer measure your future by your past. What failed yesterday cannot predict what will flourish tomorrow. What was denied then does not dictate what will open now. Heaven is rewriting the script, opening paths that were invisible, creating opportunities that did not exist. Imagine a chessboard. Every piece has moved in ways you may not fully understand. Some losses seemed painful. Some moves seemed confusing. But now the board is aligning for checkmate, the victory moment. That is the divine shift. What felt scattered is revealing a larger strategy. This is why your spirit feels unsettled. You are not being destroyed, you are being repositioned. You are not being abandoned, you are being prepared. Heaven is shifting you out of the ordinary into the extraordinary, from hidden waiting into visible purpose. Do not resist the change. Do not cling to doors that have closed. What God has ended is no longer fit to carry your future. Trust the new ground. Step forward with courage. For the shift is not against you, it is for you. And one day, you will look back and understand. The disappointments were redirections. The delays were protections. The closed doors were the proof that something greater was waiting. The great shift has come. Embrace it. Step into it. Let it carry you forward. For heaven is moving you from where you were into who you were always meant to be. This is your season of double. Everything the enemy tried to strip from you. Every year that felt wasted. Every loss that broke your heart. Heaven is declaring restoration. But not restoration to the same measure. Restoration in double. When Job lost everything, his wealth, his children, his health, it looked like the end of his story. Yet the scriptures tell us that God restored him, not with equal return, but with twice as much as he had before. The story of Job is not just history, it is prophecy. It is a mirror of what heaven is doing in your life. The ancient words recorded in the book of Isaiah, chapter 61, verse 7, speak directly into this moment. Instead of your shame, you will receive a double portion. And instead of disgrace, you will rejoice in your inheritance. And so you will inherit a double portion in your land, and everlasting joy will be yours. You, chosen one. This is not poetic hope, it is divine promise. The tears you cried in secret are now becoming rivers of joy. The battles that almost ended you are now becoming testimonies of strength. The losses that felt unbearable will now serve as the very soil from which abundance grows. Think of a farmer watching his field destroyed by storm. At first, all he sees is ruin. Yet when he tills the soil again and sows once more, the ground produces an even richer harvest, nourished by the rain that once seemed destructive. That is what is happening in your life. The very things that tried to break you have watered the ground for your double portion. I recall the story of a man who lost his business after years of hard work. He thought his purpose was over, but in that quiet, painful season, new ideas were birthed in him. Years later, he started again, not only succeeding, but surpassing what he had lost. He looked back and realized the season of loss had been the womb of his double. Double is not just about possessions or opportunities. It is about joy where there was once grief, peace where there was once torment, clarity where there was once confusion. Double means you will stand in places where you once fell, and you will shine brighter than you ever imagined. Imagine holding a broken vase. Shattered pieces seem useless, but in the hands of a skilled artist, those fragments are reassembled with gold in the cracks, making the vessel even more beautiful than before. That is the promise of double, not just repair, but restoration with glory. Chosen one, you are stepping into this season right now. You may not see the fullness yet, but signs are already appearing. Conversations are opening. Opportunities are stirring. Your heart is sensing that something greater is unfolding. This is the fragrance of your double portion. And now, let this truth be sealed in your spirit. Go to the comments and write 828. This number is not random. It is a prophetic echo of Romans chapter 8, verse 28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. By writing 828, you are declaring, my pain was not wasted. My loss will not remain loss. My story is turning for good, and I step into double end. Why does it matter? Because prophetic acts are not empty gestures. They are declarations into the unseen realm. When you write 828, you are aligning your spirit with heaven's promise. You are speaking faith into your own journey, and you are reminding darkness that what was meant for evil is being transformed into blessing. So do not fear what you lost. Do not mourn as if nothing good can come. This is your season of double. You will see it. You will walk in it. And the testimony of your life will be that the God who restores does not return little, he returns double. And when the double arrives, you will recognize it instantly. It will not feel like coincidence. It will carry the fragrance of heaven, the kind of blessing that cannot be explained by effort alone. Some blessings will come quietly, like morning light slipping through your window. Others will arrive suddenly, like rain breaking a long drought. But both will testify that your season of loss has ended. Let your heart prepare now. Expect goodness. Expect restoration. Expect to look back one day and say, what I thought was the end became the beginning of overflow. Your story is shifting, and your portion is double. Visions and dreams have been unfolding in your life, sometimes in ways that left you puzzled or even unsettled. Perhaps you have woken in the night with images vivid as daylight. Perhaps you have felt impressions in your spirit so strong that you could not dismiss them. These were not random thoughts. They were roadmaps from heaven, guiding you into your destiny. From the beginning, God has spoken through dreams and visions. Joseph dreamed of sheaves of wheat bowing down, and though his brothers mocked him, that vision later explained his rise to power. Daniel saw mysteries in the night and was given understanding that kings sought desperately. Peter, in a trance, saw a sheet lowered from heaven, filled with animals. A vision that unlocked the gospel to the Gentiles. What seemed strange in the moment carried eternal weight. So too with you. The images you could not explain. The sudden clarity in your spirit. The sense of déjà vu that felt sacred. These were divine hints. Heaven was planting pictures of the future inside you, so that when the time comes, your spirit will recognize it. According to the prophet Joel, chapter 2, verse 28, and afterward, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams. Your young men will see visions. This promise is alive in your generation. What you are experiencing is evidence that the Spirit is already at work within you. I recall a man who dreamed for years of standing before crowds, though in reality he worked quietly in obscurity. The dream seemed foolish, but years later, when doors opened for him to teach and speak, he remembered those dreams. They were not imagination, they were prophecy, preparing him to step boldly when the moment came. Chosen one, your dreams are not accidents. They are spiritual seeds. Some of them will not make sense until you walk further along the path. Others will unfold in layers, each season unlocking a new piece of the puzzle. Trust them, even when you cannot yet explain them. Think of dreams as stars in the night sky. Each one seems isolated, scattered, but when you step back, constellations form, patterns emerge, navigation becomes possible. Likewise, your dreams may seem fragmented, but in time, the bigger picture will appear, showing you that heaven was always speaking direction. You may also notice that your visions often come in times of vulnerability, when you are weary, when you feel weak, when you least expect them. This is intentional, for in weakness, the heart is quiet enough to hear whispers that busy seasons drown out. The Spirit chooses those moments to paint pictures on your soul, so you cannot miss them. Sometimes the dreams come as warnings, urging you to avoid certain paths. Other times they arrive as encouragement, reminding you that promises are still alive. Pay attention, for both are gifts. Just as a compass points north, these divine impressions align you with the will of God. Do not be afraid if your visions seem bigger than your capacity. They are meant to be. A dream you can accomplish alone is too small. Heaven-sized visions require heaven's strength. They stretch your faith, pulling you beyond comfort into calling. Imagine standing before a massive canvas, only a few brushstrokes painted. At first, it looks incomplete, confusing, but as the artist continues, the image becomes clear. Your life is that canvas. Dreams and visions are the brushstrokes of God, and though you may not yet see the full masterpiece, trust that it is taking shape. I once heard of a woman who repeatedly saw a vision of water flowing from her hands. She did not understand until years later, when she began leading a ministry that brought healing to the broken. The vision was a prophecy she carried, waiting for its season to manifest. So it is with you. What you have seen is not fantasy, it is future. Your dreams are blueprints, reminding you that your destiny is bigger than your present. Do not despise them. Do not dismiss them. Write them down. Treasure them. Pray over them. Even if years pass before they unfold, hold fast, for the Spirit wastes nothing, and what He plants in you will surely come to pass. Your visions are reminders that you are guided, not wandering. They are promises that you are not forgotten, and they are evidence that heaven has already gone ahead of you, preparing the road you will soon walk. Chosen one, the strange glimpses you carry in your spirit are not illusions. They are invitations, and one day you will look around and realize you are standing inside the very dream you once only saw in the night. There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey when the words shift from comfort to warning. This is that moment. The last warning is not meant to crush you, but to awaken you. It is the reminder that grace is precious, and time is not endless. Throughout Scripture, God has always sent warnings before judgment, invitations before separation. Noah preached while the ark was being built, yet few listened. Jeremiah wept over Jerusalem, yet many turned away. Even Jesus warned of the urgency of repentance, saying that the kingdom of heaven is near. Warnings are not signs of rejection, they are signs of love. The mercy of God giving space for return. But mercy does not wait forever. There is a threshold where delay becomes disobedience. The longer one lingers, the more the heart hardens. That is why the Spirit whispers urgently, do not put off what you know you must do. Do not silence what you know you must confess. Do not ignore what you know is truth. As the prophet Isaiah wrote in chapter 55, verse 6, seek the Lord while he may be found. Call on him while he is near. This reveals both invitation and urgency. The Lord may be found, but only while the heart is tender. He is near, but the window does not remain open forever. I recall a man who felt a persistent tug to leave a destructive path. For months, he ignored it, convincing himself there would be more time later. Then the consequences of his choices caught him suddenly. In desperation, he turned back to God. But the path of return was far harder than it would have been had he responded sooner. His story became a sober testimony. Delayed obedience carries a cost. Chosen one. This warning is not condemnation, it is protection. You are standing at a crossroads. One path leads deeper into compromise, comfort, and eventual regret. The other path leads into obedience, surrender, and breakthrough. Heaven urges you. Choose wisely, and choose now. Think of a cliff edge, standing too close. The ground feels steady, until suddenly it gives way. Many walk the edge, unaware of how fragile it is. Warnings are the voice saying, step back, do not risk the fall. There is still time to move to safety. The enemy wants you to delay. He whispers, tomorrow, later, another day. But delay is his most subtle weapon, because tomorrow is never promised, and the more tomorrow is postponed, the less strength remains to respond. That is why today matters. That is why heaven presses this word upon your heart now. Your destiny is too precious to gamble with compromise. Your crown is too valuable to risk for temporary comfort. Every time you ignore the conviction of the Spirit, the voice becomes fainter. But every time you respond quickly, the fire of your calling grows brighter. Imagine a lamp with oil running low. At first, the flame flickers gently, still burning. But if no oil is added, the flame dims until it disappears. The warning of the Spirit is the gentle flicker reminding you, tend the flame now, before it goes out. This is not meant to fill you with fear, but to stir holy urgency. Conviction is a gift. It means the door is still open. The invitation is still extended. If the Spirit is speaking to you, it is proof that God has not turned his face away. Mercy is still here, but mercy waits for a response. Heaven is not satisfied with half-hearted agreement. Heaven waits for surrender, for action, for the chosen ones to rise and obey. Do not wait for another season. Do not wait for a perfect moment. There is no better time than now, and now is still grace. One day, you will thank yourself for choosing quickly, for responding fully, for treating God's warning as treasure instead of annoyance. What feels costly today will prove priceless tomorrow. Chosen one, let the warning burn in your spirit. It is not punishment, it is protection. It is not rejection, it is redirection. It is heaven's way of saying, your destiny is too important to waste. Your time is too precious to lose. And heed it. Hold it. Let it move you. For this last warning is not the closing of a door, it is the knocking of one. And understand this, warnings are not meant to chain you with fear, but to release you into freedom. When a parent calls their child away from danger, it is not anger, it is love. So it is with God. This last warning is his outstretched hand, urging you to step into safety, into purpose, into the fullness he has prepared. Answer the call. Walk forward now. The army of the chosen is rising. You may have felt alone for years, thinking your struggles were unique, your journey isolated. Yet, even now, heaven is revealing that you are part of a great company, a family woven together, not by blood, but by calling. This is not just your fight, it is ours. And together, we are stronger than we could ever be apart. Look across history. Elijah thought he was the last prophet standing, yet God reminded him that 7,000 had not bowed to Baal. Gideon believed he was the weakest of his tribe, but heaven raised an army through his obedience. Even Jesus, who walked with unmatched authority, chose 12 to walk beside him. Isolation is not your destiny. Connection is. The apostle writes in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 27, seek the Lord while he may be found, call on him while he is near. This truth is a revelation. You are not only chosen as an individual, you are chosen as part of a body, part of an army destined to move together. Think of a single flame, alone. It flickers. Wind threatens to extinguish it, but bring flames together, and they become a fire no storm can smother. That is what the army of the chosen looks like. Scattered lights joining to form a blaze that darkness cannot withstand. I recall the story of a woman who prayed in her home every night, thinking her prayers were small. One evening, she discovered others across the world were praying at the same hour. She realized she had been part of a wave, her voice linked with countless unseen voices. What she thought was solitary devotion was actually a chorus shaking the heavens. Chosen one. Your strength multiplies when joined with others. Your endurance becomes a testimony that strengthens weary hearts. Your prayers become part of a chorus that cannot be silenced. You are not standing alone. You are shoulder to shoulder with a multitude rising across the earth. Now let me speak to your heart in pictures, so you can see what your actions mean. When you like, it is as if you are lifting your torch higher, letting its glow be seen by others still searching in the dark. When you share, it is as though you are passing the flame, handing light into the hands of someone who thought they would never see hope again. When you subscribe, it is like stepping into formation, saying, I will walk with this army, not as a spectator, but as a soldier of light. Intues, when you comment, it is like carving your name into the stones of this journey. It becomes a marker that says, I was here. I am part of this rising army. Even a few words can echo across time, reminding you and others that your light stood tall in this moment. And when you feel stirred to donate, picture it this way: a campfire in the night, warming the army, guiding the lost, holding back the cold. Every log placed on that fire keeps it burning longer, brighter, stronger. Without fresh wood, the fire dims. But with every contribution, big or small, the blaze continues, and more souls are drawn to its warmth. This is the beauty of the chosen army. No act is wasted. Together, our collective faith, encouragement, and support form something greater than ourselves. And each one decides, freely, joyfully, whether to lift the torch, pass the flame, carve their name, or place a log on the fire. So let this moment remind you, you belong to something bigger. You are not just a solitary flame, you are part of a wildfire of light. You are not only a drop, you are part of a river carrying life. You are not only a soldier, you are part of an army destined to shift the atmosphere of nations. Lift your torch, pass your flame, carve your name, add your wood to the fire. Let your life declare that you were not only chosen for yourself, but chosen for the army, chosen for the mission, chosen for such a time as this. And remember this: every flame that joins the fire changes the night. Every drop that joins the river shifts the current. Every name carved into the stones of this journey becomes part of a testimony that cannot be erased. You may feel small at times, but heaven sees every spark, every step, every act of love. And together, those small acts weave into a banner of light that the darkness cannot overcome. Chosen one, lift your eyes. You are part of something eternal. The crown awaits you, not the crown fashioned by human hands, which tarnishes and fades, but the incorruptible crown that heaven has prepared for those who endure, who overcome, who remain faithful to the end. This crown is not given lightly. It is not for the half-hearted, not for those who walked away when the fire grew hot, but for those who carried the weight of destiny and did not surrender. All through Scripture, crowns are spoken of as rewards of endurance and symbols of eternal honor. Paul wrote about it as the imperishable crown. James described it as the crown of life. Peter called it the crown of glory that will never fade away. These are not metaphors without substance. They are promises with eternal reality. You have been walking through fire. Every tear, every trial, every lonely night has been shaping your spirit, polishing your resolve. refining your faith. And though it felt like breaking, it was actually building. Heaven has been crafting your crown, stone by stone, moment by moment, through the very seasons that tried to destroy you. Scripture says in Revelation, chapter 2, verse 10, "Be faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life." This is the promise sealed over you. I recall a man who lost everything in a single year. His work collapsed. His health faltered. His family fractured. Friends told him to give up, to accept defeat. Yet he refused. He clung to faith, even when it felt weak. Years later, the restoration came. But more than restoration, there was transformation. His eyes carried a depth. His words carried a weight. And when he spoke of God's goodness, others believed not because of eloquence, but because of the authority born through endurance. That was his crown, even before eternity placed it upon his head. Chosen one. Understand this, your crown is not just for heaven. Its reflection shines, even now, the authority you carry, the resilience you embody, the peace you radiate in chaos. These are glimpses of the crown already resting on you. Heaven sees it fully, but even earth begins to sense it. Think of gold being refined in fire. The flames are not punishment, they are preparation. The impurities rise, the essence remains, and what emerges is stronger, purer, more brilliant than before. Your trials have been your fire. Your endurance has been your refining. And your crown is the proof that nothing you faced was wasted. Do not despise the weight you have carried. For weight is what prepares the head to bear the crown. Without the struggle, the honor would crush you. But because you endured, because you stood firm, you are ready for the glory that does not fade. Imagine entering a stadium after a long race. The crowds rise to their feet, not because the runner never stumbled, but because the runner never quit. The crown of life is like that, not a reward for flawless performance, but for relentless perseverance. Your crown will testify. It will tell of the nights you prayed when no one heard. It will shine with the tears you shed when no one saw. It will sparkle with the faith you carried when everything seemed dark. Each jewel is a story. Each stone is a victory. Each glimmer is a reminder that you did not run in vain. Chosen one, let this truth settle deep in you. You are crowned already in heaven's eyes. You are marked as victorious, not because you avoided the battle, but because you endured it. Lift your head, straighten your shoulders, walk as one who knows a crown awaits. Do not let shame bow you down. Do not let fear silence you. You are royalty, not by human lineage, but by divine decree. And one day, when you stand before the throne, the crown placed upon your head will not simply rest there, it will tell your story. And all of heaven will know, you endured, you overcame, you remained faithful, and now you reign with him. And see this, your crown is not only a symbol of reward, but also of identity. It is the seal that says, you belong to the King, that your journey was never in vain. Think of it as a laurel wreath placed on a runner's head in ancient games. The sweat, the bruises, the exhaustion, all forgotten in the joy of victory. So it will be for you. Every hidden battle, every unseen yes to God, every moment you refuse to quit is woven into that crown. And when it rests upon you, it will speak louder than words. You overcame, so carry yourself even now with the quiet confidence of one who knows a crown is already prepared. The unveiling of destiny is not sudden. It is the slow unfolding of a story written long before you breathed your first. Every chapter of your life, even the painful ones, has been building toward this moment. The strands of sorrow and joy, trial and triumph, rejection and redemption, all weaving together into a tapestry only heaven could design. Chosen one, you must understand, your destiny was never fragile. Though storms raged and seasons pressed against you, the thread of God's purpose never snapped. What seemed like detours were hidden roads. What looked like delays were divine pauses. Every waiting season was pregnant with purpose, though at the time it felt empty. Think of Joseph, sold as a slave, imprisoned unjustly, forgotten for years. To all watching, it looked like failure, yet each step was moving him closer to the palace, where his destiny would not only save him, but preserve nations. His story proves what you now live. Destiny often hides in detours. The prophet Jeremiah records the voice of God saying in chapter 29, verse 11, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to give you hope and a future." These words are not vague encouragement, they are heaven's blueprint, already sealed over your life. I recall a woman who spent years feeling invisible, overlooked at work, unappreciated in her relationships. She thought her life was small, but one day, she was invited into a role that required all the skills she had unknowingly developed in her hidden season. Suddenly, she realized that every unnoticed effort, every quiet sacrifice, had been shaping her for such a moment. Destiny had been preparing her in the shadows. Chosen one. Your destiny is like a seed, buried beneath the soil. It looks forgotten, but beneath the surface, roots are growing. Life is stirring. Strength is building. Then, in the right season, the seed breaks through, revealing what was hidden all along. You may not see the fullness yet, but the signs are appearing. Doors are opening that once seemed locked. Conversations are aligning that once felt impossible. Your heart is stirring with a sense of readiness you cannot explain. These are the first blooms of destiny breaking through the soil. Do not despise the years of waiting, for they were not wasted. They were preparation. The silence sharpened your hearing. The loneliness deepened your empathy. The battles forged your strength. You are not entering destiny empty-handed. You are entering equipped. Imagine a painter working for years in secret, creating a masterpiece behind closed doors. When finally unveiled, the world marvels at its beauty. But only the painter knows the countless hours of hidden labor. Your destiny is that painting. Others will see the glory, but only you and God will know the depth of the preparation. And remember this, destiny is not a destination. It is a journey, an unfolding. Even when you step into promise, heaven continues to expand the canvas, to enlarge the territory, to write new chapters. You are not reaching the end. You are stepping into the beginning of greater purpose. Your destiny is not just for you. It is for those connected to you. Your story will unlock courage in others. Your victory will inspire faith in the weary. Your obedience will ripple into generations you may never meet. What you carry is too big to remain personal. It was always meant to be legacy. Chosen one. Lift your eyes. The unveiling is here. The curtain is being drawn back, and the story heaven wrote is beginning to shine in full color. What you thought was broken is becoming whole. What you thought was small is being magnified. What you thought was over is only just beginning. Walk boldly. Do not shrink back. The destiny planted in you is unstoppable. It is time to step into what was written of you before the foundations of the world. And when you do, you will finally understand. Every tear was a river feeding this moment. Every loss was a pruning, preparing this bloom. Every battle was training for this victory. Your destiny is not approaching, it has arrived. And as you step forward, I know this, the unveiling will not come with chaos, but with clarity. It may not always be loud, but it will be unmistakable. You will feel alignment in your spirit, a peace that whispers, "This is the way, walk in it." Destiny is not a crown handed to the passive, it is the unveiling of what God always saw in you. It is you, walking fully in the name. Heaven has called you from the beginning. Chosen one, take your place. The stage of purpose has been waiting. Chosen one, you have walked through every word of this message, and that is no accident. Heaven pressed pause so you could hear what was written for you long before today. You are not forgotten, not overlooked, not abandoned. You are marked, sealed, and called into a destiny greater than you imagined. This is not the end of your story, it is the turning of a page. What you carry is not just for this moment, but for the days, the months, even the generations to come. Your life is a flame, and every choice you make to guard it, to share it, to keep it burning, becomes part of the greater fire of heaven on earth. And now, allow me to speak with imagery, so your heart understands. When you like, it is as if you add oil to the lamp, making the flame visible for more souls in the night. When you share, it is like opening a window and letting light spill into houses still cloaked in shadow. When you subscribe, you are not just pressing a button, you are stepping closer, choosing to walk with this voice, to grow together as part of a rising family of light. When you comment, your words are stones placed along the path, guiding others who will walk after you. What feels small becomes a testimony that echoes long after you write it. And when you donate, picture yourself placing wood on the fire, not because you must, but because you choose to, freely, joyfully, ensuring that the blaze continues to warm hearts and guide souls. Every gesture, every step, every act is yours to choose. Nothing is forced. Everything is invitation. Together, these choices weave into a tapestry that heaven delights in. Chosen one, lift your head, carry your light, step forward into destiny, and let the world see what God always knew. You were chosen for this moment,